Okay, now we start.
But when we're done, we have to go do homework. Yeah, I don't like that.
Well, I do too, so we can cry together. Alright, what was your path to the academy?
My path to the academy. Well, we got a letter in the mail, of course, like everybody else, and I looked at it, but I immediately put it to the side. Like, this isn't happening. Why even bother reading the rest of this? Because my parents are very controlling, okay? And I was like, there's just no way that they'd even let me, so why bother? But then, a couple days before some deadline, of course, my mom brings it up, and she's like, oh, what, were you thinking about this? I'm like, were you thinking about letting me do it? Are you serious? Like, this is an option? I want to do this. And so we went for a personal tour. We didn't do the big orientation thing, and when I got there, I was like, yes, yeah, I'm coming here. Like, I don't need to see anymore. Just sign me up. Because my tour guide, who ended up being my neighbor, our neighbor junior year, she one of the guys said, oh, are you going up this way? She said, no, I'm an XX, not an XY. And I'm like, I got that. That was funny. I was like, my parents were like, oh, smart kids. And I'm like, smart kids. So I was like, yeah, let's do this.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then, so came and took my placement test, and like, I was so ready. Like, I wasn't even holding back. I'm like, yeah, let's do this academy thing. It's my path.
Sweet. Straight.
Yes.
What doubts did you have about the academy?
Doubts?
What is this word?
That? Oh, what do you mean? What aspect?
Any aspect.
All the aspects.
All the aspects.
Emily.
Interview.
Okay. Sorry. All right. Let's see. Doubts about coming? Nothing. Oh, okay. Doubts. All right. I was scared about math. I was very like, that was one of the things that my parents told me. It was like one of the very few like getting down on me things was, we don't know if you're going to be able to take college math because you're not that good at it.
Aww.
And like, I was like, I understand I'm not that good at math, but like I can do it. It's not a thing that's like, oh god, I can't do math. But I was a bit worried about the difficulty in mathematics and science because it's just never been one of my strong points. But turned out okay. Mostly because of Mayfield, but
Mayfield saved
yeah.
our butts. And show, man, he got me throughout. The East. Oh, East.
Hear that interview? No show. None of it.
I like show.
Shut up.
Okay.
Adorable.
How has attending the academy affected your... Sorry, I read the wrong question. How has attending the academy affected your home life? Like friend-wise and with your parents? You said they were controlling.
Yeah. I didn't go home a lot because I wasn't homesick at all. But, actually, it didn't really affect my home life. But having my home life stay the same affected me. Because, like, you came and you're like, freedom, I'm an adult now. And then you go home and your parents are like, no, you are a child still. And I'm like, what? But I'm taking all these learning experiences and you're what? But with friends, it created a lot of tension because one of my friends like tried to get into the academy, but she sent in her letter too late, and so like she didn't get in. It would have been good to have her. That we probably would have been roommates, but I have a mini case, so that's okay. But she didn't get in, and so when I came home, it was like I mean, what became my life wasn't a topic that was easy for conversation. And whenever you talk about, like, when you go home and you talk about the academy, it's just like, well, this is what I do now. This is everything that I am now. I can't talk about anything else. And so your friend, but to your friends, it sounds like you're bragging. And it's like, no, it's not. I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you about my day. Like, you would tell me about how you hate this one teacher, and I'll tell you about my academy teacher that I hate. And like, but it created kind of a rift, and being at a distance from them was hard because I don't know, life goes on without you there, and they create, inside jokes with other people that you're not attached to anymore. They get interests that you don't know about and you don't share with them, and so it's kind of like slowly losing your friends. But I mean, Facebook helps with that. Like, you can still
Creep
talk
on
to
them.
You can still creep on your friends, but it is like moving to a different state. You can't keep the same relationships. It's kind of sad.
Right. What aspect of living in the academy has been the most influential?
Freedom. Love it. I still had to sign the cards to tell them where I was going with you, but it was like, I'm leaving now, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. You don't even care. That, and like Nikki said, living with other people was weird. I was very, anal about having no one in my room at home. I like to be in there alone. I don't like even my sister who slept in that room. I did not want her in there. And I moved from that to people don't even knock on my door to go in. It was like,
You could just be changing,
yeah, that happened many times. It was like,
You're like, no!
yeah, like Lydia, Diana, you, Crayley, and our neighbor. Well, she knocked, yeah, but
She
like,
knocked to see if we were alive.
yeah. But like, people just, and I didn't even care. Like, yeah, come in. Like, why are you knocking? Just open the door. Usually the door was open, but that was another thing. We never have open doors at home. It's always closed, so it's like, so people can't just come in. But the academy, it's like, anybody can just stop in your doorway and say, hey, I like what you wrote on your board, or hey, when's musical club tonight? It was like you were living at school. I mean, you were living with everyone, and that was...
And it's even better than college dorms, I would
Yeah,
say.
oh yeah, definitely better than college dorms. Because no one was uppity about going to the academy. Everybody's uppity at college. It's always a competition, but you'll find it out. But at the
I look
academy,
forward
it
to
was
it.
like, yeah, we're walking down the same halls. Yeah, I'm wearing my fuzzy socks, whatever.
Pants are optional, apparently.
Oh god.
Shirts are optional this year on our
Oh,
floor.
dear lord.
What?
That should
Third
not be
floor
a
with the
thing.
guy custodian. I'm like, what are you juniors doing?
Oh, it's
What?
the juniors.
The
The
juniors.
juniors.
Oh god, yuck. Okay.
Anyhow.
Yes. Okay, next question.
What do you wish you knew before coming to the academy?
What do I wish I had known?
I just remember that story about Diana
Which one?
with no pants. With no pants.
That's another thing. You just need the weirdest. Anyway.
That's kind of hard because I thought I was sufficiently prepared coming in, but pause it because I didn't know. I'm glad I didn't know anyone coming to the academy, because if I had, I would have held on to them for dear life and not met anyone else.
True this.
Not knowing people was,
It evens
Like-
the playing field.
yeah, it does even the playing field.
Like even in middle school going into high school, you're coming from different schools, and you tend to be with the same people.
Yeah.
during middle school.
But I knew no one from Connersville at the academy. There apparently was a senior from Connersville, but he made like no attempt to contact me. I'm like, I need an ally here, and I have no one, and you're from Connersville. But yeah, it made me meet people, and that was the best decision, not to be a loner, just to meet people.
How does the social life at the academy, or how did the social life compare to the one of your old school?
People are awesome. One of the first experiences with the academy culture was walking into one of the lounges and hearing Phantom of the Opera played on the piano, and I'm like, this is my place. And like other people
place.
were like, oh god, wait, shut up.
Have you been reading that?
No.
Oh gosh,
I just remember
there's
it randomly.
We need
so
to,
many plot twists.
Yeah, we need to give you the link to that.
Please.
There's so much going on.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Anyways.
Okay, what was I even saying?
Phantom of the
saying-
Opera.
Phantom of the Opera, okay. And people turned their heads and said, I love this song. And I'm like, oh my god, me too. Like, you know what this is? Like, culture didn't exist in my homeschool. Like, if it did, I was friends with a few people that did know about it. And, like, that's why something like musical club would have never, like, would have had a couple people, but we had like 15 regular people at the academy out of like 300 people instead of like the 1,000 I have at my homeschool. And it was so, people are so much more rounded there. Everyone either plays or has played an instrument.
Except for me.
Everyone has like a black belt, you know, and everyone did the same things that I did, and they could talk about different things. Like, it wasn't just, you know, oh, the cows got out today. The legit conversation amongst, I'm not even kidding, or like, you know, oh, the truck, you know. I came from a tractor town. Okay, that's why.
I know how different it is.
And so coming here and being like, we're talking about important things? This is so weird. And there was, at least the group I was in, didn't so much do the gossip thing. But at home, it's like gossip all the time. And I'm sure that the group of gossipers were there. But I'm sorry. Shh, you didn't hear that. Okay, but
Name's Brenda.
I'm sorry, Brenda. Brenda was such a gossiper.
Anyhow.
Oh, anyway. But there, the social group thing, it happened, but it was open. It wasn't so inclusive. If someone was like, hey, I'd like to, you know, talk to you and be okay with, like, we can smile at each other in the hallways. Like, that didn't happen at home. If you smiled at someone who was not in your group, it was like you were weird. That was a weird thing for you to do. And you just weren't that friendly with anyone who wasn't acquainted with your group. But here it's like, you know, Blake Mellencamp wasn't in my group, but like, if I smiled at him in the hallway, he'd smile right back and say like, hey, how's it going? And dresses. People wore dresses. I'm like, I was a freak at home for wearing dresses. But there is like, yes, we're fashionable. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yes.
Why do you think people here are more friendly? Okay, friendly.
It is kind of like Nikki said, we're all the same person with different interests, but except Brenda. She's the one exception. Okay, but I think it was the evening of the playing field. No one knew each other, so we had to be nice. And coming to a place where we all had to live together. If you were mean to someone, then you would see them in the hallway, like downstairs of your home every day. And there's no way to not see someone at the academy. And you cannot live there and be a grudgeful person. Because if you are, you will either make someone else's life or your life a hell. Or both, yeah. Or both. And it's like, and you can't have conflict in such a small space. It just doesn't work. And then the people are just awesome there. You know, whatever. Like, they came to the academy. They're awesome people.
It's just because they came there because they wanted to, not because it, like,
Yeah.
furthers their goals in any way. They just came there because they liked learning things. That's it.
And so these people were successful in their home high school, but they were able to they had the personality needed to take themselves out of their success and then place it in the hands of something they had no clue what was going on. And that's like, it takes a lot of courage, and it takes a certain kind of person to be able to succeed in that environment. And academy kids were it. That's awesome. And if they were not, they went home.
So why did you come back for senior year?
Well, it wasn't even a question in my mind. Like, people not coming back, I'm like, what is wrong with you? A big part of it, like, if I did have any doubts, was there's no way I can go home and face the ridicule of not having been not good enough. Because it's very competitive and judgmental at home. So it was like, that's why I got through pre-calculus, because I'm like, I'm not going home. I am not failing this class. But it didn't seem like there was any other choice. It was like, I'm here to stay. And like, and the people, and like, my Nikki, and my Diana, my Lydia, well, I didn't know you yet.
But almost your sister.
But, like, deep in my heart, I'm like, I'm going to have a sushi someday, and I'm not going to miss that for the world. And Craylee, who I kind of knew, but got more, yeah, okay, whatever. Craylee too. And I loved, Muncie had become home. It's mostly, the academy is the reason why I came to Ball State, because, like, it's just such a good place. It feels so comfortable and right. I don't know why. It's just Stockholm syndrome. Yeah, Stockholm syndrome. Yeah, it just feels right. Even though it was Hell Week made me want to die. But even through Hell Week, I'm like, I wouldn't trade this for the world. I would do this again. Even as I'm like, 5 a.m., I haven't slept yet, and this paper's due in an hour. Like, no, that doesn't make sense. A couple hours. Like, I'm like, I would still come back.
And how do you think that?
Positive business.
Okay. I only have one more question for you. How do you think that having been at the academy will affect the future?
It already has affected my future. Holy crap. Like, okay, Ball State, that's a big one. And, like, my SAT scores were awesome the second time. But see, at home I wouldn't have even taken the SAT twice, so I wouldn't have even known that I could have done better. But everybody's like, yeah, like, I'm going for a second time, when are you taking your second one? I'm like, what? You do that? And so, and, like, I've gotten, the big scholarship that, like, last year, 2 academy kids were chosen for it, so there was a good basis, like, we have a good name, and so I was, like, what's her name? Natalie, not Natalie Portman. Natalie.
It's like an A.
Natalie A.
Abel. Natalie Abel. We both got the scholarship. And, like, it gave me the opportunity to make a club, which I never would have done at home. And that Like, I can, even though it was like a musical club, like, I've got leadership, public speaking abilities, all this kind of organization. I've got so much to say, like, I have done crap with my life because of the academy, and I can apply that to anything. I can say, look what I did. Like, I wasn't even out of high school when I went to college, and people are like, that's impressive. Let me give you money for a study abroad. And I'm like, well, thank you.
I'll take it.
Exactly.
Also teachers too.
Oh, also the teachers.
Like we can be friends with them and they will not hesitate to help us.
Yeah, like,
They
I
just love academy.
yeah. Well, and I feel like I have a head start on life, like going, especially still being in Muncie. Like I know all the places during orientation. Like people are like, oh, I don't know where this building is. Where to go? I'm like, just follow me. I've got this. The atrium's that way. Whatever. And they're like, oh, what happens? What is this late night thing? And I'm like, oh, I heard about that. Blah blah blah. And they're like, traditions. What? Like I feel like I know everything, and I don't know. But then people are just great. It's a good setup for life. Yes, because being on your own, like, got that down. That wasn't a hindrance to my college experience. Now I know, you cannot party all the time. You cannot, talk to your friends late until the wee hours of the morning and then still make good grades. Doesn't work like that. And
doing a research paper the night before should
doing
be
a 10-page research paper before the day before it's due is not a good idea.
Oh, but you'll do it
Even
anyway.
though I got an A on that paper. Wait, both of those papers. Don't put that in your paper.
We're good at BSing.
It's gonna be in
I
there.
think that's the best thing about. We're the best at BSing.
And the best thing about the academy is BSers. We are so prepared for college because you don't even know. I was so scared about this project where we had to connect. We had to prepare food and make it symbolic. Okay, I'm like, oh crap, what do I do? And then Nikki's like, just get chips and salsa. And I came up with the most intricate explanation of how that was dipping the chip into the salsa was the igniting of love in Dido's heart for Aeneas from the Aeneid. And it was like and my teachers were like, yes, very good. This was amazing. I'm like, I could keep going on with this metaphor because of the academy. I am so BS worthy. It's so easy.
It's the prettiest BS you'll ever see. It's like
Yeah.
they
Yes,
did a
you'll
bow
ever
on it.
Yeah. It's a talent that was refined during my years at the academy.
That is excellent.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
should
and,
be another time.
and Mr. Watson's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Watson's the best.
We love you, Mr. Watson.
We love all the other teachers too.
Yeah, but yeah,
Mr.
like-
Watson the most.
like Nagelkirk. She was good. Good for her.
Teachers are awesome.
Yeah. And Miss Fultz, even though I didn't get to have her.
Yeah.
Have you gotten to have Miss Fultz?